We are now looking at target 8D, our last target of the entire year. Target 8D says, given the equation of the circle, use the method of completing the square to determine the coordinates of the center and radius of the circle. So, we have actually done completing the square before, so a lot of this is going to be review. However, we did it in semester 1, so a lot of us might have forgotten what completing the square is, so it'll be a good thing to go over. Okay, so our first target is, I can identify the center and radius by writing the equation of a circle in center radius form using completing the square. Okay, so the equation of a circle that we've seen so far has been center radius form. Okay, this one, right? That's what we're used to. There is also this general form of a circle. Okay, so I can switch between the two. The first thing I'm going to show you is switching from the center radius form to the general form. So I'm just going to make up an equation. Let's say my circle is x minus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 4. Okay. I'm going to try and get to this general form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to square x minus 1. So remember when we were multiplying, I had x minus 1 times x minus 1. X times x is x squared minus 1x minus 1x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So I have x squared minus 1x minus 1x plus 1. Plus, I'm going to do the same thing with y plus 2 squared. I have y plus 2 times y plus 2. Y times y is y squared. Y times 2 is 2y. Y times 2 is 2y. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so again, this is just our multiplying. So I have y squared plus 2y plus 2y plus 4 equals 4. The next thing I'm going to do is combine like terms in this order, because that's the form I want to get to. So I start with x squared. This is the only x squared that I have. Then I want my y squareds. This is the only y squared that I have. Then I want x's. Minus 1x, minus 1x. Negative 1 minus 1, I have negative 2x's. Then I want y's. I have a 2y and 2 more y for a total of 4y. Then things without variables. I have a 1 here and a 4 here. Okay, so plus 5 equals 4. If we look, we are getting very close to that form, except this is equal to 0. This one is not equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. I'm left with x squared plus y squared minus 2x plus 4y, plus 1 equals 0. Right, because 5 minus 4 is 1. There is what we call the general form of a circle. So these two things are the same. They're saying that they're talking about the same circle. It's just two different forms. Okay? All right. So now we're going to go the other way. I want to find, from the general form, I want to find the center radius form. Because the center radius form, it's easier to figure out what our center and our radius is. Okay? So our first step, step 1, is to move the constant to the right of the equation, right? Your constant is what doesn't have a variable. So since I'm subtracting, I'm going to add. We always do the opposite. So I have x squared minus 2x plus y squared, negative 80 plus 80, those go away, equals 80. That was step 1. Okay. Step 2. Right, place any x terms in parentheses with a blank, like this. So here are my x terms, x squared and negative 2x. So I have x squared minus 2x plus some blank. I still have to have that y squared equals 80 plus blank. Anything I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Again, this should seem somewhat familiar. We have done this before. Step 3. Oh, that was step 2. I'm circling it in the color it is. Step 3. Fill in the blank on both sides using completing the square. Okay, so that's where I'm going to draw my square. So I know I have x squared. Then in my other two boxes, right, negative 2x has to be divided by 2 boxes. Negative 2 divided by 2 is just negative 1x. So I get negative 1x here and negative 1x here. Then I don't know what goes in that missing box. That's what's going to go in this blank. But I know x squared is x times x. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. And negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So 1 goes here. Anything I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Step 4. Let's use orange. Rewrite parentheses using the outside of the box. So this was my parentheses. This is the outside of my box. I have x minus 1 twice, right? It's x minus 1 squared plus y squared equals. On the other side, we're already going to be doing step 5, combine like terms on the right side of the equation. 80 plus 1 is 81. From here, we are just finishing our problem by doing what we've already been doing. Right now, we're going back to target A, my center. Right, this should look more familiar. Got to change the sign, so it's 1. And then there's nothing with y, so it's 0. R squared equals 81. Take the square root. R equals 9. Okay. All right, we're going to look at one more example. Okay. Starting the same way, starting with moving my constant to the other side. So this is subtraction, right? It says minus 20. So doing the opposite, we are going to add 20 to both sides. So I have x squared plus 8x plus y squared, these go away, equals 20. Step 2, rewrite all your x terms in the parentheses. X squared plus 8x plus blank plus y squared equals 20 plus blank. Step 3, fill in the blanks using completing the square. Draw our square. I know x squared goes here. 8x has to be divided between 2 boxes. 8x divided by 2 is 4x. So 4x and 4x. I don't know what's going to go in this last one because that's what our blank is going to be. So I have to start filling in the outside. X squared is x times x. X times positive 4. X times positive 4. 4 times 4 is 16. That's what's going to go inside my missing blank. Then, rewrite my parentheses with what's outside my box. So that's x plus 4 squared And then we have plus y squared equals. Then on the right side, we're adding. 20 plus 16 is 36. Last step is then just, right now we have our equation in center radius form. I'm just finding my center and my radius. Center, what's with x? A positive 4. Don't forget to flip your sign. There's nothing with y. R squared equals 36. Square root. R equals 6. And that is it for D1. Go ahead, look that over, and then begin working on your activity.